CARICOM and Cuba celebrate ties that span decades. CARICOM gets office space in Kenya for joint diplomatic mission. And the Bahamas Prime Minister optimistic of support for reconstruction on hurricane-ravaged islands. Welcome to the CARICOM News Time for the week ending Friday the 12th of December. I am Michelle Nurse with the details of these and other stories. Chairman of CARICOM, Prime Minister Alan Chasney of St. Lucia, has congratulated the Dominica Labour Party and its leader, the Honourable Roosevelt Skerrit, on a resounding victory at general elections of the 6th of December. In a congratulatory message, the chairman said the people of Dominica demonstrated their confidence in the policies and the leadership of Prime Minister Skerrit by returning him for yet another term of office. Mr. Chasney said he looks forward to working with the re-elected government of Dominica in seeking to ensure the goal of a climate-resilient country and as the region continues to pursue the quest for sustainable development. The Caribbean community has lauded the decades-old ties with Cuba as the 47th anniversary of formal relations between the two parties was observed on the 8th of December. In a message to mark CARICOM-Cuba Day, Chairman of CARICOM, Prime Minister Alan Chasney of St. Lucia, said the occasion provided an opportunity to take stock of this singular relationship of South-South cooperation that has blossomed over the years to incorporate all the member states of the CARICOM. He said that Cuba has been of great assistance bilaterally and regionally. He lauded its contributions to the health sector and to human resource development, noting that those are critical inputs to improving the welfare of the people of the community. The chairman said that CARICOM and Cuba both place great emphasis on the Caribbean remaining a zone of peace. The centuries of separation between the region and its African counterparts must be left on the books of history, Prime Minister Mia Mottley said as she accepted space in Nairobi, Kenya, to be the home of a joint diplomatic mission. The office is located in the heart of the country's diplomatic district, near the United Nations' principal home on the continent. It is expected to be a hive of activity in the near future as Caribbean governments set out to deepen relations with their African counterparts. Ms. Motley said it was one of the many steps that will be taken over the next coming months to strengthen cooperation between Kenya and Barbados and between CARICOM and the African Union.
And we do so conscious that for centuries we've been separated by sea and by others from a destiny that ought to be united. We have taken the position that this must be reversed. And to that extent, the multiplicity of agreements that we are signing, the actions that are being taken, and it is not just government to government, but it is also with respect to different players within our countries. We are also hoping to have an agreement between CARICOM and Kenya and between CARICOM and the Organization of African Union. And it is against that background that as a result of your trip to Bridgetown and our meeting with the Chairman of CARICOM and the Secretary General of CARICOM that we proposed to be able to host the first CARICOM Africa Summit, and you have graciously accepted that that should be in Nairobi here in June on the eve of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which will take place in Kigali. But the people of our countries will ask, what does that mean for us? How do these agreements change the quality of our life from a day-to-day basis? And the truth is that this is just the architecture that we are building to be able to unleash the potential of our two peoples.
Prime Minister Motley also attended the 9th ACP Summit of Heads of State and Government. While there, she called on leaders to ensure that the organization represents a platform of acceleration for integration into the world economy of goods, services, culture, and ideas.
It is clear that we must evolve from the cooperation contemplated initially in the Georgetown Agreement for the protection of the export of commodities from former colonies to Europe, to a relationship among ourselves that sees ourselves not only dwelling, as my good friend the President of Ghana indicated, on the numbers that we have, but on the quality and scholarship of our thought and our commitment to take action. The revised Georgetown Agreement before us for endorsement exhorts us to understand each other, or as I said in the Business Summit yesterday, not simply to know about each other, but to know each other. It requires of us to advocate for a multilateral system which contributes to our economic growth and sustainable development, and to strengthen our political identity as a coherent force to advance our organization's specific interests internationally.
Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness also attended and participated in several aspects, including the ACP Business Summit.
And we welcome you, Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean, Barbados. We have very stable democracies with very stable economic policies, particular fiscal policies. So this is a good environment for investors to consider to place resources.
The summit ended on the 9th of December with an agreement to rename the 45-year-old organization as the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, the OACPS. Outgoing Secretary General Dr. Patrick Gomes told reporters at a closing news conference that the organization is now better positioned to counter the untoward policies of more developed nations. Describing the summit as historic, he said that intra-ACP cooperation and trans-regional cooperation policy framework were among the major outcomes. Angolan diplomat Jorge Rebelo Chicote will succeed Gomes and serve as head of the OACPS for the 2020 to 2025 term. The Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, Prime Minister of the Bahamas, is optimistic that the planned donor conference on the 13th of January will attract donations to address social issues, infrastructure projects, support for the economy and the environment.
This UN-sponsored conference is a part of a broader program and strategy for reconstruction led by the government of the Bahamas. The conference will leverage the resources of domestic and international private sector and corporate groups who want to partner with the Bahamian people and the government to rebuild affected areas stronger and with more resilience, especially in light of the global climate emergency. The response to Dorian, including over the many years of reconstruction ahead, is about building sustainable, strategic and smart partnership at home and abroad. Our shared mission is to modernize the affected areas and to rebuild for sustainability, utilizing the talents, the ideas and the energies of Bahamians and residents who were affected by this monster storm. The rebuilding must be modern, but should also be guided by the heritage, history, and architectural richness of affected areas, especially Navajo Keys, which enjoy a remarkable heritage.
UNDP resident representative Denise Antonio said that the donor conference represents a unique opportunity to align pledges of support for the reconstruction and recovery of the affected islands along the priorities that Prime Minister Minnis has identified.
It is imperative that we collectively develop a mechanism to facilitate this alignment as part of the new modality for development financing for Caribbean countries like the Bahamas. We are equally committed to securing the funds required to finance recovery projects and to ensuring that the people of the Bahamas are the ultimate beneficiaries. The level of devastation experienced on Abaco and Grand Bahama inevitably means that recovery would be a long, arduous process, but UNDP is confident that with the right mechanisms in place, we can, in partnership with stakeholders, achieve the outlined objectives.
Guyana was in November elected to serve as the chair of the Group of 77. Guyana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced on the 3rd of December that the G77 countries and China elected the CARICOM member state to the position by acclamation without preconditions. Guyana's candidacy was supported by the community, which has been keen to ensure that a regional candidate assumes chairmanship of the largest negotiating group of developing countries in the United Nations. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Guyana is committed to strengthening multilateralism for the benefit of all developing countries. During its chairmanship, it will preside over critical issues pertaining to sustainable development and efforts to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the organization. For more stories, you can visit the CARICOM news site at today.caricom.org or the CARICOM website at caricom.org. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.